After much speculation, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner has officially made his intentions known with regard to the NFL. Oklahoma QB Kyler Murray declared for the NFL draft many weeks ago, but as a first-round pick of the Oakland Athletics, football people have wondered where his heart lies. However, on Monday Murray did his level best to lay to rest any doubts as to whether football rests at the top of his professional priorities list. "Moving forward, I am firmly committing my life and time to becoming an NFL quarterback," Murray announced on Twitter. "Football has been my love and passion my entire life. I was raised to play QB and I very much look forward to dedicating 100% of myself to being the best QB possible and winning NFL championships. I have started an extensive training program to further prepare myself for upcoming NFL workouts and interviews. I eagerly await the opportunity to continue to prove to NFL decision-makers that I am the franchise QB in this draft." The announcement comes on the heels of a bizarre interview Murray had with Dan Patrick the Friday before the Super Bowl, in which the talented young QB clammed up and seemingly went mute when asked simple questions, like whether he plans to attend the NFL Combine or hold a pro day. Even more cringy, Murray would turn to look at his father off camera when Patrick would make a query, looking for direction on how to answer. Murray's almost painful interview on the DP show intensified the belief in league circles and in media that he was playing the NFL and MLB against each other, hoping to leverage as lucrative an opportunity as he could. As an MLB first-rounder, Murray was scheduled to earn a $4.66 million signing bonus, and reportedly told the A's that he wanted $15 million in order to forego the NFL draft. "There's a lot more money to be made early on in the NFL, if Murray can parlay his phenomenal junior season at Oklahoma into a pro football career. If he does well at the Combine and his pro day, and hits what remains of the pre-draft process out of the park, he could become the first player ever to be both an NFL and MLB first-round pick." NFL first-round contracts are now slotted and capped, but if Murray convinces one team to take him in the top 10, he would make many millions more than the $4.66 million signing bonus he'd get with the A's. Last year, for example, former Oklahoma teammate Baker Mayfield went number 1 overall to Cleveland and signed a 4-year, $32.60 contract with a $21.8 million signing bonus. For perspective, UCLA's Josh Rosen, who went 10 overall to Arizona, received a $10.8 million signing bonus and a 4-year contract worth $17.5 million. The flip side, though, is that the NFL is obviously a profession more high-risk than baseball, especially for a diminutive QB like Murray, who's listed by the Sooners as 5'10" and 195 pounds. Most scouts believe he's closer to 5'9" and 180, though. That's one of the several big questions Murray will have to answer at the Combine: his height and weight. Smaller QBs have had success in the NFL of late, like Russell Wilson and Drew Brees, and Murray's size didn't seem to deter him in college from producing prolific numbers. But even if he comes in under 5'10", all it takes is one team to fall in love with him, and if he ended up slipping out of the first round, he could still pack it in and go play baseball. MLB contracts are fully guaranteed, and the dollars being paid out to the elite players have grown astronomically, but the path to the bigs is a much windier road than getting drafted in the first round as a QB would be. At $4.6 million would be all the money Murray could count on, really, in baseball, until he made it through the minor leagues and got called up to the bigs. But there's no question, if he can convince one NFL team to take him in the top 15 of the draft, not only would his football signing bonus dwarf the MLB's, his path to success, and thus his probability of reaching a lucrative second contract within a 5-year window, would be significantly smoother. What does this mean for the Broncos? I went through all these details to set the stage, just so fans can see the psychology of how Kyler Murray is weighing his NFL decision. That public announcement was a major boon for his NFL draft stock, make no mistake, but he still has a long way to go in terms of smoothing over miffed general managers and front office people who love his talent but question his heart. As it relates to John Elway and the Broncos, there's a lot to like about Kyler Murray. His announcement eases my concerns quite a bit, but I'd still have my doubts if I were a football shot caller. If the Broncos spend a top 10 pick on a QB, the player not only has to be a game changer but as close to a sure thing as possible. I'm confident that if Murray were to be selected in the top 10, the team who drafted him wouldn't have to worry about him tucking tail at the first sign of trouble and heading for baseball. As a top 10 pick, he'd want to at least stick out the first 4 years of his contract, just purely from a financial perspective. The last thing he'd want is to accept a signing bonus in the many millions and only end up having to pay a significant portion of it back by quitting. The Denver Broncos are headed to the NFL Combine. Don't miss out on any Broncos news and analysis. Take a second to sign up for our free Broncos newsletter, delivered 3 times daily. But what about Murray's size and what about his talent? There's absolutely no question that the kid can sling it. He can play modern NFL QB at a very high level. Murray rushed for over 1,000 yards in 2018, while passing for 4,361 yards and 42 touchdowns to just 7 interceptions. He completed 69.0% of his passes on the way to winning the Heisman. I really don't doubt whether Murray could duplicate his success in the NFL. He's a dynamic QB and the biggest playmaker in the draft. His size is what remains the question, and not from a "can he see over offensive linemen" perspective. I wonder whether his body could hold up to the wear and tear of the NFL. Baker Mayfield also isn't the prototypical size, but he's still got probably 3 inches on Murray at just under 6'1", and here's the key, possibly 40 pounds. Mayfield might not be tall, but he is thick at 220 pounds. However, there's something to be said for Murray's elusiveness and instinct as a runner. He can sense pressure well, and the way he anticipates contact, there's reason to believe he can minimize impactful hits at the next level. But if you're John Elway and you love yourself the big-armed, prototype QBs, Kyler Murray doesn't exactly fit that mold. At the same time, Elway's type hasn't paid any dividends for the Broncos, so who's to say Elway might be open to turning over a new leaf in terms of his perception of the ideal QB. One draft excited like this: if you're an NFL team and you had one game you absolutely had to win, but your QB could only be one from the 2019 draft class, you'd have to pick Kyler Murray. The kid is a winner. He's a competitor. And I believe that as it relates to the NFL, he's dispensing with all the MLB leverage drama and jumping in with both feet. What that means is that there are now 3 viable QB options worthy of top 10 selection. And if you're one of those guys pining for Drew Lock, just yesterday it appeared that you'd have to be willing to trade up in order to guarantee getting him. With Murray officially throwing his hat into the ring, a team like the Broncos, who are reportedly smitten with Lock, suddenly might be able to stand pat at pick 10 and still get their guy. I'm not entirely convinced on Murray, but based on talent alone, he's a surefire first-rounder to me. I look forward to getting a closer look at him at the NFL Combine later this month. Seeing exactly where he measures in height, weight-wise, how he conducts himself at the podium, and what the feedback is during his interviews, especially as it relates to the whiteboard, X's and O's.